maybe what I notice. I don't see the newspapers or television, but most two important in my eyes. There was a Danish society, sort of like from the middle class, sort of like separate in a sort of like higher class and the lower class. So this middle class slightly start to sort of like disappear through the last 10 or 15 years. And second thing is that the opinion about the Muslim population, not just in Denmark, in Europe and the world, at least in the Western world, changed radically since 9/11, and from that point also changed into the Danish society. It's sort of like separated this a little bit more rich, and sort of that middle class sort of slowly disappear. I mean, that's the statistics. Is it anyone who follow those kind of things through the media, through the newspaper, Politiken, for example, and says, well, we wrote about Muslims so much, we wrote about Danish society.
Yeah,
and,
statistics.
Sort of, yeah. Is it anyone follow those statistics and sees how much influence the one magazine had on those kind of things?
I think it's finger speech give you.
Sorry?
I think it's just you just have to.
Fingerfornemmelse.
Yeah.
Yes.
You have to just. We have to do. We don't have any statistics. It's just like have a feeling of how much. Sometimes we think, now for 1 week we had only kids on the front page. So even though we actually had the best picture for tomorrow's front page, it won't be a kid because we have kids for 3 days. We don't want kids tomorrow. I would love to have more women in the newspaper. But when we have our morning meeting, it's 11 men and 1 woman. It's not how the society is built by itself. This is not the way it should be.
No, I just saw something so practical for you to have a sort of like.
But we don't make any statistics. That now we have to. We are down with 2 women. We have to restore the 2 women tomorrow. That would be
this
wonderful.
Is not women. That's something very important in the
women
society.
are very important as well.
Yeah, I mean,
they are 50% of the society. So if we have mostly men.
Yeah, but you're gonna definitely manage without.
No, but who? Then we should have the Muslims 50%, or there are 12% of the Danish society. So there should be 12% stories about Muslims in Politiken. Or how should we do that?
How many Nazi?
And then how many handicapped people and how many blind people? So 0.8% of the Danish population is blind, so we should have 0.8 stories about blind people. You can't really edit.
That's a bit job. No, I'm quite curious because it's a 12% Muslim population in Denmark.
It's a guess.
What, sorry?
It's a guess. I don't know.
Guess? I don't think that I think it's far smaller. I think it's at the best it's a 12% foreign people. As anyone knows how many foreign people in Denmark?
Statistics.
Yeah,
we like statistics.
No, but that makes sense. Makes sense. No, but it's because often debate. When I'm saying I'm not someone who can say, well, I'm following like Monsieur here, but I don't follow that. I just open the radio. But when I open the radio, every time beside the sad story about I listen to radio station. There's often discussion, recent period, it's about the foreign workers in Denmark or Muslims. And every time when I discussion with Muslims, even it's sort of like going positive, it's a certain troubling things connected to that.
You have to stop the discussion and start all over. Because you have to, your mindset has to be like, you have to start all over.
We?
Yes,
I mean,
all of you.
All of us?
Yes, because you say never and always, and every time you argue. And that's not how the world is, not even at Politiken.
Yeah.
So you have to start all over. This is not how we do the newspaper. We never say never or we never say always, because that's not how it is.
Okay.
And then when you say every second week, it's not an argument.
No, I can show you. No, it's not an opinion, it's
statistics.
statistics.
Say always, because I know that this week we do stories about people from Eastern Europe, and they're all well educated. But you don't remember that story. You remember the story where you can have all your pre-made opinions.
No, it's statistic.
And maybe if it's
numbers.
I would like to see. That's why if you have a statistic, I will just say I'm sorry, and I'll go flat and say I'm sorry. But if it's all about opinion, and I know from my daily basis at Politiken that we do make the stories that you actually want to read. You just don't see them, or you don't remember them, because we do make them. We do make stories about Muslims, the average Muslim. Maybe
I'm not saying a
we do
politician.
make stories about. We do think about. So all the it's so funny because all the things that you actually are looking for, we do.
I collect
Maybe not the scale that you want, but we can never make people satisfied, and I don't care.
For 15 years, every time I see a Muslim in Politiken, I have kept the photo and I have wrote the date for 15 years.
Okay.
Every Muslim published in Politiken, I have a picture of it.
I would love to see that because that would be very helpful. If it's
That
true.
is something that I've understood.
Salim didn't speak a lot.
No.
We need Salim.
But
Salim.
for the last moment, I would like to mention you are like politician here as photograph chief. All newspapers and the Politiken in a way they make like provocation for population. It depends on the subject and the group who could be provocated. I ask, now he already said his opinion and you already got provocated.
Yes.
Yes. So how could it be acceptable to provocate a lot of people when you yourself can't absorb it?
I can absorb it, but when the argument is made as a truth, as we always do something, or we never do it, that's not acceptable.
He misunderstood me. My question
Because,
was...
of course, I love to debate and I want to get wiser, and I know that we make failures and mistakes, even every day, and that's how it is to make a newspaper, because we have to make decisions, and every day we make wrong decisions, and that's a part of the game. But saying... But what I would like to debate is actually when Thierry says that he has every Muslim pictures, that's interesting. Or if we make swastikas every 2 weeks, that's interesting, because then it's very narrow-minded way to do to make a story.
Yeah.
But saying just like as an argument that we never do stories about something, or we always do.
No, I didn't say. My question was, to be honest, my question was, do you have anyone who follows this through the... I didn't say, especially, I didn't read the Politiken, not because I don't want to read the Politiken. I rarely, when I came in this, I don't see the stories I heard. There was in the radio, so I think there was in a. That's the reason I connecting. When I listen those kind of things through the radio, I hear a lot of debate. What doesn't make much sense. Maybe I choose wrong radio stations or whatever. But that's the reason I ask you. Do you have anyone that follows it? Because, I mean, there
Do we
will
have
be
a dog
very
watch?
important discussion.
A dog watch.
We don't have that.
Why not?
I think this is a really important question, because it's about like some kind of organ that is included within the newspaper or the media that is somehow doing the statistics and following some conflicts and like having this kind of overview that maybe you as the one that is like putting out, choosing if it's this and that picture or what, don't have, because you have the hands-on on it, but somebody who is like a little bit on the other level, like a dog watch or somebody...
Visual artist.
It would be wonderful, but on a daily basis it's not...
You don't have it, no, but
No,
that was the question.
And like if we went to do a story about the Israel-Palestinian conflict,
yeah.
we should actually have 50% for each side.
Yes.
Or you
And we
should
don't
have a
have-
person who
Yes.
would be like...
Or if we go to Syria, we should go
Yeah,
to...
well,
Yes.
I like to ask you. I don't want to compare it because it wouldn't be really good comparing. But if if you want to make in the Second World War, you're gonna make this sort of like story about the Jewish people in a concentration camp. Are you gonna make half in concentration camp and half an SS quarter? Would you do like that? I mean, to be or sort of like make opinion. So half in the concentration camp were the Jews and half in SS quarter.
No, you would not do that.
Depending what the story was.
The story is the Second World War, and it's to have to illustrate.
You're going to make the story in a...
No, you're not going to do that.
If it was today's news or is it a historical newspaper?
No, I say I banalize. You says you have to go in Israel and make half on Palestinian side, half Israeli side. I mean,
You want to be
No, but
like
that-
fair.
or-
But that's the
fair.
kind of statistic that you could actually look for, right? that
Yeah.
you should be able to say every time, do you have you been enough on the Australian side, or have you been too
Yeah.
much?
But the question is
Or
here.
only.
If the question is here, if the question is
that's
here,
the reason
like
I banalized. I
Yeah.
banalized the things because, of course, we have a certain sense what is wrong. You don't have to. I make a point. There was a discussion, and I see that usually on the newspaper, in the television in Denmark, and I see the same thing in my country, where they bring someone leftist and someone completely right, and some here and there. And the one, this leftist will says, we take example Srebrenica. It says, this leftist, it's crazy to kill the people and blah, 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 blah. This on the right hand, it says, well, we didn't kill so many of them, but you know, it was a fight and so. And what public, and conclusion is, what public think on the end? Because a lot of them are not really educated. So they think, well, it's not good to kill the people, but in the middle, we should have killed someone because that was a part of the process. I mean, you're taking two sides, obvious, left and right, or whatever it is, blue and red, and so, and then you sort of like have to make the story from both sides, and you get this sort of really odd picture to the people to prove.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, that's authorities. You're bringing authorities into
But
the sphere.
what should be done then?
You have to have a stand.
It's your
You
job.
have to have a
I-
stand.
Have a stand.
I can say I have been tolerating mine for 10 years. About dog watch, for example, at the period you are a photo redactor, at the period you also had a kind of chronic where you express about your photo choice, and you were writing text. You say, this picture was chosen because of that and that. For me, it was very strange that you choose a picture and then you reflect on your own choice, but why don't you ask somebody from outside to observe what you do? Why do you yourself speak about what you do it, you speak about what you do. Why don't you have a dog watch like we talked about, a massacre system, for example, you had a paragraph every week like that where you analyze your photo. Why don't you ask, for example, 1 week Maher to do it, or you know somebody else that will criticize your system instead of yourself explaining your system. So this is what I say when it's missing a dog watch system, because nobody can enter the newspaper to go critiquing it. You don't have, or maybe Laserbreo can do it, but you have not established a platform.
No, that's
This,
right. But I'm
just a space.
not really interested in not as a.
In a critique.
Yeah, I'm interested in the critic, but I'm the editor. So if I put out the editing to someone else.
No, it's not
No,
editing.
no.
To putting out like
You expose yourself to
Dog watch is
But
a.
I do that every day.
Yes,
I get
yeah.
mails every day.
You know, but the mail don't get public.
No, but sometimes it does it as a Laserbreo. And actually, I do debate a lot, almost
Yeah,
every
sure.
day, even before.
I
Of
would like to
course-
hear someone talking about my work, artwork, but I wouldn't let them get into it. I mean,
I don't care if people get into it.
But you're an artist. You're an artist. This is a newspaper.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a
Because the newspaper has to have, as you said just before, they have to have a kind of stand or a kind of. There is an there is opinion. There is a as you said before.
But now we'll get into problem. Now we'll get into problem because border will be even less visible in that case if anyone will influence. You can in this way you can put all the blame on the newspaper if they make something wrong, and their responsibility to do. If we get this democratic chance to do it, I think it's a lousy thing. At least in this way, we will know who is guilty for certain things. Because in that way, you will have a sort of like invisible borders. Because everyone critiques, you can always blame on much more people, and nobody will. And you can still channelize certain propaganda through this something. But in that way, possibility of debating the things, they will make the border more invisible and more actually larger chance to sort of not have anyone guilty. At least this is honest. He takes his part of the guilt, and I think.